All right. Hello and welcome back to another live stream. I'm your host, Miranda. We're trying a bit of a different layout today. So let me just get everyone introduced here and we'll say hi to everyone in the chat. It's going to be a bit of a hangout one. We didn't really plan a whole bunch of stuff tonight. It's mostly like a hangout. So I've got to the right of the screen here, the Painter Flo.
Hello, hello.
And what are you working on here, Flo?
I am working on some World Eaters tonight. Some commission work.
All right. Hopefully that camera bumps its resolution there a bit. Good old World Eaters. What, red and gold?
Red and gold. Yeah.
And black. They've got to be all dark and black.
And we've got Disembodied Voice below me here.
Hello.
I feel like you're, what is it? Plagiarizing Fulvius.
What nobody knows that maybe that's what I look like.
Like identity theft of Fulvius, in my opinion. Yes. So anyway, the screen doesn't have a burn-in, but the nice thing about we're trying out StreamYard here, so it will combine comments from anywhere we're streaming, because we're dual streaming to Rumble as well as YouTube. And so we can see the chat section. I believe you can as well, Disembodied Voice.
Yes, I can.
And we can highlight any such stuff as well, such as Paul saying hi. Thank you, as always, Paul, for being my wonderful moderator and my mentor in Space Marine 2, as he shows me how to not be awful at it. Game is... I don't want to call it hard because I haven't really dedicated like a proper amount of time to know that, but it's definitely like not a button masher game. So it's been a lot of fun, and Paul has hung out with me. He's level 24 last I saw. You're just racking it up.
Breezing through.
Well, I say that. I think, and Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, you have to level up each of the different classes, right? Because there's the campaign mode in which you play Titus, and I'm moving through that slowly as I get time. And then there's also the operations mode where you can play different types of Marines. So you can play a tactical Marine, you can play a heavy. I played the Bulwark, which has like this power sword and a sweet shield that's super awesome. There's the Sniper, which Paul plays, and I think that's probably maxed level at this point. So, but I don't remember I think you probably have to level up each one of those classes. So
I think I heard something of that sort, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of time, but there's a lot there to enjoy. It's fun. I don't know if I like it more than Darktide. In fact, I don't like it more than Darktide because Darktide, you're so much more in your own character. Whereas you're really just a type of character in Space Marine, but you're also a lot more powerful, and it does reward skill. So that's been pretty fun.
That's what you think. My Zealot's pretty powerful.
Okay.
Can beat up all kinds of stuff.
Okay. Max level 25. His Sniper's 23. Tactical Marine, Heavy's 13. And he hasn't tried the other 3. So
which one do you like? The sword and shield guy? What's he called?
He's the Bulwark, I believe.
Oh, a Bulwark. Yeah. Okay.
There's a Bulwark and the Heavy. And I want to try the Heavy because apparently, you can get a multi-melta in the game and you just feel like you are so powerful when you have that. But apparently it's even more powerful in the hands of the Heavy Marine class. So quite a joy. So let's say hi to everybody in the chat we've got here. Hello, Thomas. Good to see you. What are you working on tonight? I know you've always got something awesome going on. Jeremy, gonna try and listen while he works. All right, don't let anything get stolen while you're listening, Jeremy. We had a good game the other day. Patty, I see, is also in the chat. Hey, Patty. We're talking about with this new layout, it would also be a lot easier to have interviews and guests on, which I'd really like to talk to you a bit about game design. So I know we've talked about that in the past, and like figuring it out is.
Well, before we get into that, there's a very important comment here.
Oh my goodness. I haven't done any push-ups tonight. I woke up late and I didn't do any working out. And then I just had to go prep for the stream.
I did my workout today.
Yeah? Okay. How long do you work out for? 30?
Anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the day. It was about
Okay.
45 minutes today.
Okay, that's definitely a good one. I try to get in at least half an hour or an hour, depending on if I can do it in the morning before I go to work or if I have to crunch it into my lunch hour. But I got 11 push-ups yesterday. I think, yeah, about 11 push-ups. And then I've been trying to practice getting better at that and practicing pull-ups. So I'm trying to get my arms a little stronger for that. So we'll see. We'll see how far I get.
Yeah, right now she can only
I
do
feel
about
the noodle arms.
she can only do about 20 Vasquez pull-ups.
Hey, at least you can
I
do
will put that
some.
all over the internet if I'm ever able to accomplish that. I'll just be like, "Boy, yeah, check me out."
There'll be a whole
I
video
wear
about
my
it.
Katashan uniform and everything, of course. So that would be ideal. Jeremy said that it was just 10 a day. Well, I mean, 10 a day is not a bad place to start. I know there's people who do challenges of 100 a day, but you can break it up into sets of 10 multiple times throughout the day.
Yeah, I used to do that. I haven't I have not been doing that lately.
No?
But I was good about it for a little while.
Okay, well, that's pretty good. I think the most I've done in a day is probably like maybe 30. I don't know. Mostly because I get busy and distracted. And so it's like, oh, should I do 10 again? You're like, I'm not in a place to do that. So whatever.
I gotta have space to do that.
Shale, welcome. Greetings from the Hobo Express era, buddy. Still on the train home. Yay! Having fun on an Amtrak. Plunderden, good evening. Hello and welcome.
Is he on Amtrak? Although that would be what, East Coast Amtrak? Like everything east of Chicago, I think, is like shorter rides, and they're not the same kind of trains that we were on. That's what I hear. Like they're not as nice.
Oh yeah, I don't know. But if I recall correctly, Shale is middle of the country. I think he's Colorado area.
Oh, okay.
If I'm remembering right. Keats Fried Chicken. Hello, welcome. Hey, it's Miranda and friends. I've got a better Flo was able to set up a little bit of a better camera setup, so hopefully this is a little bit more interesting for you hobbyists. And
I will say though, sorry, I will say though, if I go out of frame, I apologize. I am still getting used to it.
And just yell at her. I'll just highlight it on the screen. Somebody yelling at her. Phoenix Light Rail, he says. Shale says. Okay. Nice. Oh, Patty likes the setup. Thank you, sir. But the way this setup works now, theoretically, is I could even go back to doing some painting stuff. I've got my super awesome light from Game Envy that I have.
I think you can like lean it forward so you can see it in the camera.
Maybe.
Like,
see
if it's one of these guys.
Yeah, that type. So it is lovely. It is such a nice desk lamp, like hobby lamp. So be playing with that some more. And the light can be as soft or as bright as you want it to be. It is, it's great. Now to get the rest of the way out of the way.
Oh, it's totally out of the way. We're good.
Yes. All right. Where's everyone else out? Mr. Kyle, hello, welcome. Cool format. I haven't figured out how to burn in the chat yet, so bear with me. I'll just have to highlight my favorite chats.
And exclude those that are not your favorite.
Yes, very exclusionary around here. You know how I get.
Like Jeremy's criticism here.
Rolando Ratas, welcome. Evening and afternoon, Wargamers. Yes, happy Wargaming. Paint Chat is now home office. Kind of going back to home office. It's kind of, that is where it started. So is this in the studio? No, this is all from home. We kept running into so many sound issues at the studio because the next door place we're renting it from is open every day now. They used to be closed on Wednesdays, but because they're open every day, we just kept getting so much noise in there that it was creating challenges.
Yeah, you could hear people from the other side. I'm sure anyone who's been listening to our show, especially over headphones, definitely can hear when they're coming in and talking.
I just want to confirm that that's true, Jeremy. All of them. So, I don't know. We're still learning the old StreamYard. Thomas, greetings from Indy. I'm painting my gong farmer family. Gong farmer. How do you farm gongs? That sounds challenging. Thomas, Bills, Fish, welcome, welcome. Jeremy says, gold is not right. It should be brass. Wow.
I mean, that is exactly what I'm using. So I have it right.
What color paint are you using for the brass?
Actually, I'm wrong. I read that wrong. I'm actually using Monument Pro Acrylics bronze. So it's not brass, but whatever.
I mean, it has the same first two letters.
I know, so I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm using brass. Never mind, I'm a liar. I'm sorry.
Nice. Patty's not staying long, but we appreciate you for any period of time you can give us. We've been playing the Iron Kingdoms RPG. And in fact, I think that might start getting streamed at some point, right, Patty? I don't know if you're still here. But we've been playing an adventure. So Disembodied Voice plays a lovely Gobber alchemist explorer. We're using the old 2d6 format as well. So it's not the 5e edition, it's the older one. And then I'm playing a bounty hunter investigator who just avoids combat like the plague, and so far has just gotten away with being really snooty. So that's been fun.
However, my Gobber does not avoid combat.
No, he's a big game hunter somehow.
That I hunt big game. Gobbers can't wield rifles, apparently, so I have to use a knife and or grenades. So that's how I hunt big game, apparently.
Works for fishers. Original Iron Kingdoms is the best Iron Kingdoms. I think it was a lovely rule set. Very hyper lethal, but it was super fun. I know that, if you know the 5e edition, you can learn the other one, but I am not any longer convinced that ended up being like a great way to go. Is this IKRPG campaign going to YouTube eventually? Well, it's not in my hands, mercifully, so probably yes. Patty, I think, is in charge. Burrow mugs are tasty. That's right.
And their adrenal glands are worth lots of money to alchemists.
Oh my god. Jeremy, all my chats will be ignored. Yes, indeed. Caged Lemonade says, I want to get... Oh, wait, I should do it over here. I want to get into Warhammer. What is the best way to go about it? Well,
pick an army that you think looks cool.
Well, there's several ways to approach.
That's kind of
right?
my advice too, mostly.
Yes, which is super fun. But if you're trying to get into it aside from what you like, just like the aesthetic of it, you're trying to learn the rules, for example, then if you've already got friends who are into gaming, you want to talk to them, very likely you'll get told to maybe try out Combat Patrol, which are 500-point locked lists, and you can buy a box of Combat Patrol for, I don't even know the price on it, 100-ish bucks, is that right?
What was it, like 120 or something like that? I think it is.
120 sounds,
maybe 150.
And you can find your army because they have a Combat Patrol box pretty much for every army. So you just look through and see what it is that's of interest to you. But that's probably going to be your initial investment. But that's already a built-in list. So you can already practice the rules with that. Now, Combat Patrol does not cover 100% of the 40K rules, but it seems to cover enough of them that after playing a few games, you'll know whether or not you care for that game. And then you can always expand onto it with, more vehicles, additional units, extra solos, things like that. So that seems to be, and that's designed to be that way. Like Combat Patrol is designed to be an intro to playing Warhammer. But that said, if your friends, if you already have friends that are looking to play, then you'll want to see what they're doing. Also, if you go to a local game store, you can always see what they would recommend as well, and temper that against your own gut, see what sounds right to you. Don't let anyone pressure you into what you should or should not be buying. But you can also find out from local game stores if there's like leagues or when people are playing Warhammer, so that you know where to go or when to go to actually be able to play with your toys and see if you like the game. So that's my long-winded answer. How's that?
Long-winded.
Thomas says, my Requiem adventures that I'm running at Warfare Weekend sold out for Friday night, and 3 signed up for Saturday. What does it max out at, Thomas? That seems really good, though. Congratulations. One of these days I'll check out Warfare Weekend. But my God, I just hate going to the East Coast. I'm sorry. I just hate it.
We're just so far away from it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the long and the short of it. I'm just so far from anything. And everything's so compact and clumped together in traffic. So anyway, whining aside, I am very happy. 6 slots for each night. Okay, so you're half full for Saturday. I wonder if you'll fill up the rest pretty quick. That is very cool. I'm glad for you. Jeremy, original Iron Kingdoms is a 3rd edition version, not the 2D6. It actually predates the miniature game. Yes, so originally it was a D20 system under the Open Gaming license.
Yeah, the OGL.
And that started with the Witchfire trilogy. Then it was expanded out into more of a game. And then in 2012, it came out with the 2D6 system, which is when I got introduced to it and really enjoyed it. We did not get a revision of the Witchfire trilogy in that 2D6 system, but they did bring it back with the newest edition now of the Iron Kingdoms Requiem. And if you got in on the Kickstarter for that relaunch, it actually came with the whole Witchfire trilogy again. So you can play all of those modules now. It's just the rule system is now under 5e instead of 2d6. Not to say you couldn't adjust something to work for the 2d6 system, but it never officially came out as one. Isn't Warfare in Missouri, or did it used to be? Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting. It's Midwest. I think I got told that last time too.
Oh, we might actually go then. Missouri's not that far away.
No, it's not bad. What is it? Let me see. 8 hours to Oklahoma, and then like another 4 hours to 12 hours to Joplin. And then I don't know where in there after that.
There you go. So 6 slots for each of those games, it looks like.
That's pretty fun. Pretty fun.
All right.
Yes, Patty also confirms that our IKRPG will be streamed. You'll have to bear with it a bit. We were kind of still figuring ourselves out. And I think the group is like not everyone's always able to come every time. So, some people are, most of the group's there. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
It'll be, yes. Adjusting across systems is a ton of work. Oh gosh, absolutely. All right. Bye, Patty. Thanks for popping by. Have a great night.
Hello, goodbye.
See you, man.
Have fun with the kiddos. Yeah, I'd like to pick Patty's brain a little bit more because he is developing tabletop games. I know.
Well, we need to have him on now since it's easy to bring guests on with this format.
That's the theory. Yes, so we'll have to figure that out now that we know this is functioning. But it'd be cool because after hosting that panel, actually for the 2nd year in a row at Nova, the game design panel, is kind of neat talking to sort of the 3 different approaches to game design. But I feel like Patty would have different insights, so I can remember some of the answers that I got from the Nova questions and talk to him about it and see what his thoughts are on that. Because honestly, I would have enjoyed having almost an individual interview with each of them because of the way you can expound on answers. So Jeremy says he just steals all my ideas. Oh, it's okay, Jeremy.
Hey, you know what? That
on
works too.
If he's stealing them all, it means they were good ideas.
Well, wait a minute. Can you steal them? Game mechanics are not copyrightable. So
that is true.
So really, those are just ideas that have always existed since the beginning of time, and you guys have just figured them out, is all.
Exactly. Shale says it's a ton of work having converted Exalted from the WW Storyteller system to the FFG Genesis. I don't know what the WW Storyteller system is. Or the FFG Genesis. My God. Making me feel very ignorant. Yeah. Do you, Flo, do you ever get much into RPGs specifically?
I was the super nerd who did written role-playing games. And I was
like
before I've ever
Ragnarok?
gotten to that.
Did you ever play
I never did
Ragnarok?
Ragnarok. I never
Okay.
played Ragnarok, no.
When I lived in Oklahoma, I had a friend who was really, really into the written RPG stuff. And it was interesting because she had a dramatically different approach to playing games than I did. So I grew up 3 brothers. I'm all like, "Roar, combat, conquer, I want to fight." And she really, really, really loved romance, which I think is probably one of the hardest things to role play in the world. And she, you know, really was very prolific in her writing.
Yeah.
And I don't even mean that in like a weird pervy way or anything. She just really loved writing about all of that. So you'd think like, I don't know, whatever the formula is for like the Notebook is or something.
Maybe to clarify, she did lots of writing for her character. Not all of it was romance.
Not all of it was romance, yeah, but like it didn't occur to me that I wouldn't have combat in an RPG. But she didn't think that you ever needed that. And like, it was interesting, or very, very, very.
Well, I think it comes from a kind of a strong direction of like, so combat is just a type of conflict resolution. And so you can have social conflict, you can have physical conflict, you know, I mean, you can even like solving puzzles is a type of conflict resolution, right? You're trying to get into a door, the door won't open. How do you solve this? And so there's a lot of different, I think there's a lot of different game mechanics that tackle all of those things. It really was one of the kind of the drawbacks a little bit in the 2D6 system for War Machine is they did not have any conflict resolution for social situations, whereas D&D oftentimes would. And so you just had to role play your way through it, but there really was like, it was 100% at the DM's discretion. And so sometimes that works out really well and other times not so much, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Especially if you kind of are innately good at speaking off the cuff in a role play, as opposed to maybe relying on your stats to be more charismatic than you naturally feel you are, or more of a quick talker than you feel you are.
Well, I remember talking to Donald years ago, and one of Flo's friends, and he was, you know, it's one of the things that a lot of players like, where it's like you want to play a character that if you're like a scrawny nerd or something, and you want to play the Arnold Schwarzenegger version of Conan, well, you can do that. You just, I have lots of strength, lots of agility. I can, you know, fight all this stuff. You get to have that. But if you're someone who's just like, I'm awkward, but I would like to play the Silver-Tongued Devil. Well, in a game that doesn't have rules mechanics that allow you to do that, you have to do that at the table. And you're like, yeah, but I'm awkward. So like, I still can't.
That was the whole point of not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think something like ChatGPT has helped for role-playing practice and role-playing preparation?
I think so. I think it has. I'm curious what chat thinks about it, because there's a big deal recently about I keep wanting to call them TSR, Wizards of the Coast, like doubling down on using AI to write and to do a lot of their D&D modules. And there's been a lot of pushback on that. And it's like, I think it's a really useful tool for DMs and for players. And even for writing games, I think it's like a helpful tool, but it should never be used outright. Whereas,
Should never replace.
Well, yeah, it should never
replace
replace
any
your
of
own
it.
creativity.
Okay.
But yeah, I could see a lot of players. I think I've never tried this, but I feel like ChatGPT probably could walk you through a mud. Like you literally could play a one-player mud against it. Well, I guess it would be a SUD. Be a single user dungeon.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to see some of that kind of come back. But I could almost see in the case of ChatGPT, if you are socially awkward and you don't know how to be that silver-tongued devil, I feel like, you can ask ChatGPT, like, my character is this type of thing, and give me things that it would say, that I can use. And then, like, I feel like that would help you develop.
Yeah.
Conflict resolution being on a very similar pace was a big reason why I chose Genesis as the system to do a conversion into. Yeah, he also clarified up above, Storyteller is the Vampire the Masquerade system, which I never played, and Genesis is the generic version of Fantasy Flight Star Wars system.
Oh, okay. I actually have a better sense of what that is then.
Also, just a bump, Thomas Grable says that Warfare Weekend is in St. Louis in November, and it's an excellent convention, which I think is him pressuring me. But anyway, if you live nearby, check it out. It's worth going to. I think it's definitely worth, if you can afford it, to check out the different types of conventions. They range from very small to quite large. If you go all the way up to San Diego Comic-Con and Gen Con, and Adepticon as like 8 this year, I think was what they hit. They're probably going to be like 10 next year for 10,000 people. And that's pretty good size convention. And then you get like Nova was 3,700, something like that. LVO is not quite as big as that, but more tournament focused. Like, you get different things out of conventions. And so Warfare Weekend sounds like another one to check out.
Well, I feel like we're going to be in Texas in November. Is that correct?
Yeah, early November. Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. I'll see.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I found a new game that is really interesting for solo or group RPG play, Ironsworn. And it has a sci-fi version. I think I'm going to save up for a hard copy of both. I don't know that I've ever tried a sci-fi RPG. I remember being deeply jealous of my older brother. The first time I heard about RPGs was when he was playing Shadowrun with his friends. And I wanted to be part of it.
Donald used to play that.
Allowed. Yeah, but I've never actually gone back and played it. It's only ever been like Pathfinder or D&D or IKRPG.
Yeah, I used to play Shadowrun with, back when I lived in Hobbs. It was early 90s or probably mid 90s is when I played Shadowrun.
Losing flow.
There she is.
Yeah, I thought it kind
of die. Mr. Kyle says, I have 2 very fun solo campaigns using AI, not ChatGPT, but Novel AI and AI Dungeon. So are those dedicated for more narrative? It sounds like they'd be dedicated for more narrative things, where ChatGPT is like very generic assistant. Jeremy says, ChatGPT right now is pissing me off. It forgets about stuff we previously added and changes stuff. And it took me 8 or 9 prompts to catch it.
So in AI, that's what's referred to as hallucination. ChatGPT will do it. ChatGPT 4, like in the paid version and stuff, is a little better at it. I guess they dedicate a little more, memory or space or something. But you have to keep reminding it of things. And one of the ways you can do that is you can keep asking it to reiterate. So if you're like, if you've had it write some stuff, then you go down and you're like, after a little while, go, hey, give me a list of all those characters again. Tell me about so-and-so again, and just, as long as you keep doing it, and if it gets it wrong, you correct it. And then you can keep moving forward again. It's why it's like a lot of people are trying to write novels or scripts or like movie scripts or stuff like that on ChatGPT. And it's really hard for it because by the time it gets to like chapter 3 or, to the second act and stuff like that, it's already like going nuts. I remember when we first tried it with that, what was it? The script we were writing about those 2 people that found a dead chupacabra.
Yeah.
It's like, it started going nuts by the end of it.
It was very entertaining. But
at one point, the chupacabra comes back to life and you're on a UFO and it just got crazy.
Well, the other thing, and I there's sensors and stuff inside all of those AI programs, and you can see it because it won't get violent and it won't and it really hates conflict. Like if you tell it to give you plot points from beginning to end of a conflict between two groups, at the end of the day, they talk out their differences and shake hands, no matter what. Like literally no matter what. It's been very difficult. Like you still need to use your brain basically and tell interesting stories, but it does make it very entertaining.
So you can get him to fight, you can coerce it into doing that, but it will not describe any kind of violence or stuff like that. And so you have to write your own violence,
So it's
I guess.
boring.
Or I actually sexual situations either. I think it doesn't
that's true.
write that either.
So it's tamed. Now that's not to say that no one has access to a more unhinged AI. And I know there was like that do anything now protocol that people could put on there, but yeah, as it stands right now, you are very limited and you cannot actually trust the answers. Like you have to vet everything it tells you, especially.
You know what though? Write your own sex and violence, people. All right.
Don't be lazy.
Don't be lazy.
Do it your own dang self. Yeah, you can bully the AI programs, which in my opinion is what's going to lead us to Skynet.
It's when they finally bully back.
Oh no. As long as they don't have access to the nuclear codes. Shale says Shadowrun is great. Roll a bucket of D6. It's kind of like playing orcs or guard even, if you get close enough. Spycraft was a fun spy-oriented RPG. You basically had all of the typical James Bond gear that was mostly useless. Well, while we were in DC, we got to go to the Spy Museum. That was really fun. I learned how horrible I would be at being a spy. Lying is not like really deep identity lies. I'm like, what is my stupid name again? What do I do for a living? I can't remember her name anymore now, but I was like an archaeologist from Brazil, from like Rio de Janeiro. And yeah.
Oh gosh.
Then I had to do tasks and it was hard.
I'm trying to remember what mine even was. I was from Norway, I think.
Yeah. It's pretty funny. Excuse me. Sorry.
Bless you.
Thomas Grable says, at Gen Con, I picked up Shadow Dark RPG, old school D&D feel with super fast 5e elements. It swept the innies. Can't wait to run it. Oh, nice. With RPGs, that's always the thing, right? You don't want to get bogged down. I mean, you could argue this with board games too. You don't want to get bogged down in the rules and figuring out the exact mechanics that are involved in doing the thing that you are attempting to do. So elegant rule sets are very nice. And I think once you find them, there's not really any reason to change them. Like at that point, you're just changing for the sake of change. Oof.
Yeah, elegant. I always take elegant over bookkeeping. Although there are some people that really, I don't know, I think they really get into just piles of stats. And it's just, I don't know. It's not something for me.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like it depends on the type of gamer brain you are, which is why it's nice to have a gambit of different options. But I'm sure 5e is probably a lot more streamlined, and there's a reason why it's the biggest. Patty and myself are working on some modules for Shadow Dark. Oh, nice. You have to tell me about that. Hi, Brian. Welcome to the chat. Appreciate you hanging out. We're just chatting about kind of whatever we want to chat about right now. We play around in the new format. We're using StreamYard and seeing if it is worthy, I guess.
Yeah, giving it a try.
Which got us on the topic of games. And Thomas is going to be playing some Iron Kingdoms at Warfare Weekend in November, which is in St. Louis. And then that got us on the topic of AI and how, if it's helpful in informing your characters, I could see it being helpful as an acting tool in a way too, in giving you phrases that you didn't think about and getting you maybe in a headspace. Even if it's not great at doing that, it's still a different mindset than what you just have on your own. And so I could see it being very useful.
A different perspective.
Right. But you just don't want to rely on it to do the work for you, despite what many people think it does. And it's crazy. Like there's so much AI stuff coming out on the visual medium stuff right now. It is absolutely insane. Whew. Yeah, I'd love to. I'm hoping Ray can come out to Valhalla. I'd love to see, but it'd be great to see him and have a I'd play only war game. Shale, Battletech can turn into accountant tech, which is something that I like, but I can certainly understand why others don't. Brian, what's y'all's thoughts on the new Kill Team? We haven't really been following it. I don't play Kill Team. I did talk to Adam a bit about it when we were at Nova, and it was like kind of milquetoast. Like, yeah, some things are good, some things are not so good. I just remember hearing the rumor, and I hope it's true, that when the second edition of Kill Team came out, and everyone had to use shapes instead of, a measurement of 2, 3, 5 inches, whatever. That was just a placeholder symbol when the rules were still being written and nobody questioned it. And so they just pushed that through. And I guess they got rid of that for the new edition. So I think it's back to inches, which is probably an improvement.
That is definitely an improvement.
I heard, yeah.
Do they have the bespoke dice? Is that a thing that they have? I don't remember now. I don't know. Somebody in chat remind me if the current version or the new version are going to have the bespoke dice, because that usually kind of points me away from a little bit too.
Yeah, you really hate proprietary dice. It depends. Like, I didn't love it for Warhammer Underworlds, but I enjoyed playing Warhammer Underworlds enough, which is funny because I don't like proprietary dice and I don't like deck building, and it has both of those elements. But the big thing that really held it for me is like freaking super fast games and very few miniatures. Like just rifling through that made it really easy to want to go ahead and play. Like you didn't feel like you had a bad experience and wasted a ton of time just setting up your game, which obviously can happen with larger games. So I liked that. Kill Team uses regular D6s, Paul says. So
okay, good.
I don't know anything. I thought that was the case.
I didn't know. I just couldn't remember if it was. I do like the special dice in Blood Bowl. I'm actually fine with those, but that's it.
Okay. One of the big changes, I think, for the new Kill Team is there are even fewer model options, right? Aren't they locking a lot of those lists in even more? So
yeah, that's true.
So that can be good or bad depending on how you want to enjoy Kill Team. But I know that Paul wasn't super in love with how they treated his Tyranids.
Well, you kind of want to play like a 40K version of Mordheim is what I think most people really want out of it.
Okay. I've never played the Mordheim tabletop game. I've only ever played the video games. I have no idea how close that is. But yeah, that'd be fun.
I'm going to see if Flo, if you could can you tilt your camera down more? Because it might focus on your little guy a little better.
Let me see.
Because yeah, I think the camera keeps trying to focus on on that mat.
Let's see if I can.
Question. Speaking of Mordheim, do you guys think that GW will bring back Mordheim? It's like everyone's favorite dead game. Will it resurrect? Or do you think every time GW gets asked about it, they go and reset a clock?
Gosh, when was the last time they even put out a version of it?
I don't know. Oh, Paul had also clarified something earlier on Space Marine 2. Here it was. So Space Marine 2 devs released an FAQ. The reason you cannot customize the Chaos Marines in PvP is because of strict lore restrictions from GW. So
interesting.
If you were sad that you couldn't do that, write a letter to GW.
What kind of customization can you do to the regular Marines that you can't do with Chaos?
I mean, Paul had like a whole purple armor set and special like symbols and stuff. I mean, I think it was a lot of color choice mostly. Well, Paul can speak more to that. I haven't customized anything. I just put the helmet on my dude, and that was like the extent of what I did.
Okay, well, I wonder if that is part of it, where depending on what chapters, because I think you have to buy, like video game companies, I think have to buy the rights to individual little slices of the IP.
Yeah.
And
no,
so
I
it's
think it's very granular.
yeah, and so it's like maybe even down to which chaos forces. Like you think of Darktide, it's just Nurgle, and that's it, right? There's no Khorne, there's no Zench, there's no Slaanesh. And so I wonder if people are allowed to customize their dude, if they could make it look too much like a chaos chapter that they didn't buy.
Probably. I mean, that would make sense.
And even though that wouldn't be the game creators doing it, it would
Doesn't
still
matter.
anger the GW people. I don't know.
Or whatever division is in charge of that, right? Paul says, Kill Team for this edition are only the minis / factions released in the orange boxes. So, yeah, I don't know. If you want to learn, like, Kill Team is just separate enough from Warhammer that if you want to learn Warhammer, you're better off getting a Combat Patrol box. Kill Team is just a totally different rule set. I guess still a smaller model count. So if that's what you are attracted to, there's that. And then the fact that there's no choice in list building, I personally don't even hate. You know, sometimes you just want to get in a game and you play the list that's in front of you, and that's that. I think that honestly is probably easier for them to balance technically if they're doing that. But, you know, if you're just wanting to pick up and have a game, there's less models to, you know, scrape from every corner of your office or room or basement or wherever. Brian also says he thinks Mordheim will come back. Maybe the question is more of when than if. So, who knows? Who knows? And then has there been any more on the Henry Cavill Warhammer show? Is that going anywhere?
I haven't heard any more on it, but I don't know if I haven't looked recently. So it's possible, but I don't know.
Okay. Curious. Paul says Primaris Marines pretty much have any weapon aside from heavy weapons. Plus, they can have any armor parts. Chaos side, the sniper has to be Alpha Legion, i.e. World Eater can never use a sniper rifle.
Huh.
So
Well, that would just make sense strictly lore-wise, not really IP-wise. Right? That's like saying, well, they're all melee Marines, so they don't sit around sniping people.
fair enough. Same with the armor parts. You cannot mix and match parts. Whereas Primaris, I guess, are just a lot more flexible. I don't know. After, like, you're in a big Marine suit, it's like, oh, I have the Bulwark versus the Tactical Marine. I'm like, I can barely tell the difference between these two. Like, you're just in big chunky armor, running around, stomping everything. So, in a way, it's actually less customized than Darktide, even though it, in actuality, is more customizable. But, you know, you don't get 4 completely different types of people to play. You have Marines, all Space Marines. The idea of having a 3-player multiplayer instead of 4 was kind of an interesting take. I don't think I've seen that happen too often.
Well, it's like you think of it in terms of the Trinity, right? Which would be like tank,
like an MMO trilogy.
Tank, DPS, healer. But there's no healer. I mean, there's apothecaries, I guess, but I don't think it works that way in this game. And so it's like, what is it? Tank, other melee, and ranged? Is there a trifecta in it, or is it just, I don't know, grab 3 guys, we don't care?
No, they're all different. Yeah, I mean, none of them. Well, that's not true. The Bulwark can kind of keep everyone's shields up. The Sniper, I think, is more of a solo benefit. I can't remember what he does for his team. And there's a whole area to build out your talents and get more powerful and all of that. But it's not a trinity the way you think of with World of Warcraft. It's more like Darktide, where the mix does not matter. You can get through it. Everyone's kind of on their own as far as survival.
Like there is group synergy, but only if, well, to be fair, only if you're playing and you're hanging out on Discord, so you can tell everyone to stick together.
Well, I guess it never even occurs to me to check, but apparently there is voice chat in the game itself. But pretty pretty sure everyone just uses Discord anymore. Like, why bother with the in-game chat?
Part of it is so that I see people do it where they'll get into the game and then you're just playing solo, so you don't know anybody, but you can still like give orders and stuff like that. And when people have that, I always do what they ask, just to, you know what I mean? Just it makes it better if they have an idea of what they want out of you, and it's like, all right, fine, I'll do that, and then you just do it, and it is smoother. And I have gotten into games where I've seen a couple of people using the voice chat, so they'll actually hang out, even though they just ran into each other in that mission, right?
That is fair. I guess I never think about like playing with randos so much. And the other benefits that are legitimate when it comes to in-game would be stuff like Phasmophobia, where the ghost can also hear you, like the AI in the system can hear you talking, and so you want that interaction. Or in Lethal Company is actually really amazing. The way they engineer the sound is actually really good because it sounds different depending on the room you're in. The distance from player to player makes it way more realistic. And when somebody dies, they can't talk to you anymore because they're dead. So that ends up being quite good.
No, that's ideal. Like, that's really cool. And I mean, people can just get around it by being on Discord, but if you're going to enjoy the spirit of the game, like, it's really cool to do that.
That's true. That's true. Mandragora, hey, welcome. I hope you're doing all right, man. We're still rooting for you over here in America and all those parts of the world. Dare Baka, welcome to the chat. Hello, everybody. Anyone a fan of Blood Bowl second season? What do you think, Disembodied Voice? I know you have some ideas.
I'm not familiar with what is different with second season.
Just more stuff. You have the cast dwarves now, right?
Yeah, well, I saw they're bringing those in. I used to play lots of Blood Bowl. I had a roommate like years ago, and he and I just played Blood Bowl on the dining room table all the time. And so, like, you know what I mean? So I really enjoyed that game a lot, but I haven't played it recently. Although I have considered whether or not we should try to do a Blood Bowl league on this channel with like an actual like a ladder and everything, have playoffs and have at the end have the Super Blood Bowl in the end and see what we think. I have an idea for how we would record and do commentary for the games. So
we'll pose that question to the audience. Let them see. And it can't just be yes because more work is fun. It has to be like, no, this would be cool. You'd want to see. You'd have your fantasy league. You want to see the Super Blood Bowl. You want all the advertisements because let's be real. If we were doing a Super Bowl kind of take on it, I'm going to cram that thing with ads. Sorry. But I think that would be really fun. So yeah, let me know. Mandragora has a question for you, Flo. I really wish I had a good brush like that. Mine became frazzled too quickly, and then I can't paint details like individual teeth. Do you have advice to prevent brushes from getting curved?
From getting curved, the curve is usually up to like the brand of brush you have. But as far as stopping it from fraying, just making sure that you don't overload your brush is really big. Overloading the brush will get that paint up into the roots of it, and it will cause all of those bristles to fray. Cleaning it regularly, having a good, nice brush soap that you use on a regular basis, and then making sure you wash it out before you leave some soap in it in between times to hold the bristles, and then when it comes time to use your brush again, make sure you wash it out, so that way you're not putting soap in your paint.
Now, is the brush soap, is that the same as, like, I thought there was like a brush shaper stuff that you can put in there too. Is that different?
I've never used the brush shaper stuff because the soap does just fine.
Okay.
I don't see the reason to go out and buy another product when the products I use are perfectly adequate,
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that was required or not, or if I was just confusing two things that were the same thing. But yeah, like having something that when you're done using your brush, I do know that like putting whatever goop in it, hair gel, whatever that stuff is.
Well,
putting product in your brush. Yeah, because I know we would get those cheap Master's Touch brushes from Hobby Lobby, and we'd get them when they were 40% off. So we'd get a bunch of them, but they would always curl, like Jerry's talking about. So that's interesting. I'd have to give that a try on some of those cheap ones, see if it does that.
Maybe so. I mean, keeping
Yeah.
your brushes clean does seem to be sort of the key. I know the Masters Touch stuff, and I think Jen's stuff from Monument. You use that soap to clean it, but then you also run a little bit through to shape it when you're done with the brush for the day, so it kind of holds up position. So that's advice I've also
Yeah.
gotten.
Also, somebody
Yeah,
else,
and sorry, go ahead.
oh, was it Monument? I'm blanking his name.
Jason?
Was it Jason that was telling us that when you get a new brush, people will pull the little plastic tube off of it,
Mhm.
and then they'll like run their finger over it right away. And whoever was telling me about that said, as soon as you do that, you've ruined your brush because
Yeah,
it
it was
has something in
Jason.
it.
Yeah, because there's like basically a starchish kind of material in there. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's a stiffener. And so when you first open your brush, when you take that little sleeve off of the end, you want to soak it gently first so that all of that stuff softens up. Because otherwise, yeah, you can break the bristles with
that motion, right?
Mhm,
Mechanically
with that
break
motion.
them. Because I know I always feel like doing that when I first pull it off. I think it's I don't know what you call it. It's like a thing that you're like, oh, you just do that, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, like don't touch your bristles until you've gotten them wet first. And that's a good first step to keeping your brush from dying.
So there's some best practices for there. And then Jerry also added that Kolinsky Sable is the superior brush type. I think we've used both. I don't know. We've used synthetic and both, but Mandragora
I mean,
sounds
you
great.
use what you can afford or what you actually grow to love. You know, you try different things out. Like I said, I don't know that brush soap and the likes is going to help with the curving of a brush. Usually that has to do with the quality of the bristles, because curving will naturally happen to certain ones over time. That's what you usually buy the higher quality brushes for, is that they don't get that curve at the end because you want that point.
So you're saying don't buy the poodle hairbrush?
I mean, you can if you want to put on your initial coat and stuff with that, use it for basing, things like that, because your initial coat, you don't have to worry about being as precise. All of your fine detail stuff is what you use the better brushes for, in my opinion.
All right. On the Blood Bowl topic, Mandragora says, Blood Bowl tempted me when I saw the full arenas with dugouts and fan stands. But I have an issue with a game where one player literally has a chainsaw. It kind of ruins the football feel for me.
You mean the giant ent doesn't ruin the football feel for you? There's a lot of things in there that are a little not quite Warhammer Fantasy, even though it supposedly kind of fits in there.
Also, I can't see Blood Bowl happening inside the Warhammer Fantasy universe. Mantic's Guild Ball makes sense. Corpus using sports alongside or instead of war just seems reasonable somehow.
Is that like Robot Jocks, where they just have big robot fights instead of war? It was always I always see that as a concept. It sounds fun in concept, but the reason that wars happen is because the diplomacy side of it failed. And so like deciding to resolve things with sports or something is part of the diplomacy side still. And so like things can still fall into just proper war because you are just going, all right, well, I am just going to now mechanically remove you from this problem. You know, we were talking about conflict resolution earlier. It's just war happens to be the lowest common denominator that everyone has to abide by. You're either alive or you're not.
Fair enough.
And what is it? Was it Lenin? What is this thing?
Stalin. No man, no problem. Yeah,
no man, no problem. Yeah.
Yeah, he was full of zingers and treachery. Jerry says all the Reaper Mini Pro painters use Kolinsky Sable. Most use Reaper brand, but some of the better painters use Da Vinci's or Winsor Newtons. So if you can splurge on those, it's just if you're going to splurge on those, then you want to make sure you're taking care of them and definitely keeping paint out of the ferrule of the brush, that part where all of the bristles get bound into the rest of the handle. That metal.
So this is my I actually use, my fancy brushes are the Artis Opus. So
there you go.
Fancy. I use Da Vinci, but not for brushes.
I know when I heard Da Vinci, I actually wasn't thinking of brushes.
Yeah,
Yeah, so DaVinci Resolve is what we've moved over to here
for
at
editing.
Wargamer Girl Studios.
Hmm.
It is so much better than Premiere.
Sorry, someone trying to do return fraud. Oh, Jeremy staying busy over there, I see. Mandragora adds, at the risk of ruining the mood, military intervention doesn't work with narcos in Mexico and South America, but everyone respects and accepts the results of the World Cup and lords it over each other.
Yeah, well, it's like a social contract, right?
Mhm.
That everybody has chosen to adhere to. Everyone respects it, and so if everyone respects it, then it's respected.
Right.
Then it works. It just breaks down the moment someone goes, "Nah, I don't accept that as the outcome."
Well, and if we could somehow hook more conflicts to being resolved through the outcome of like World Cup leagues, then that might save a lot of lives.
I mean,
Just
if
don't know
you
if
can
anyone's gonna do
get, I mean, if you can get like Putin and Zelensky to agree to it, if you can get Netanyahu and whoever's the head of Hezbollah, if you can get those guys to agree to it, then yeah, it works. But they got to agree.
We lost Flo. She'll be back in a minute.
She's gone.
She's gone. So
Now
I don't
everyone just
know.
has to stare at a Wargamer Girl logo.
Maybe not too much interest in a Blood Bowl league, because the way we do it is we'd have to really make it a proper league, right? With brackets and all of that.
So the idea that I would have is we would try to have Monday night Blood Bowl, and so we'd have to have one up every week, and and so to make the workflow easier, I thought it'd be fun to just record the games the way we do our battle reports, where I hold, essentially hand hold the camera for the most part and just capture the gameplay, throw it on the timeline, and just kind of trim it up a little bit. It's the way Mini Wargaming used to do their editing years back, and then take that footage and break it up into like, every time the ball goes out of play, we stop and then have a halftime as well. And then literally Miranda has never seen the games played.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Miranda, and we'd have to find someone else to sit down and wear headsets and then just literally be like football announcers and just cast the game as they saw it happen.
Yeah.
And so it would be kind of a very sports feel to it. And I thought it'd be hilarious if we could get companies, maybe other channels or like Monument or Reaper or just whoever does stuff to have like actual sponsors and run commercials and everything else, just to like get the full on like sports feel out of it, but it's Blood Bowl. So that was kind of a thought. So we'll see when that could happen. But if that sounds interesting to everybody, let me know.
Things aren't as bad as they were years ago, but whenever my city had a football game with their rival neighboring city, it would always result in fans fighting each other and rioting.
You mean football hooligans?
European hooligans.
Those
We got a question
hooligans.
for Flo in the chat.
Yes.
Jerry asks, has Flo tried a brown or purple liner instead of black?
Liner?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what he means.
Do you mean like the wash or?
I'm sure he'll let
Like,
us know.
are you talking about the wash? Because I do use brown very often. I don't usually use purple. But you have to remember, I'm actually doing a lot of these models as commissions, so I'm trying to get them as close to the photos as possible that they either send to me or ask me to copy. So I don't get a whole lot of freedom in how I paint things.
Fair enough. I don't know if he also means maybe a backdrop liner too. Although the backdrop,
Yeah, I mean,
there's
wait a minute. What is that guy's head? Is that the original head?
What?
Looks like a little monster head in there or something.
as far as I know, it is.
Okay, I think it's a skull with stuff coming off the back of it. Okay. I wasn't able to pick it out.
It's a face. It's a face, but he's got like bones coming out of him and a bunch of like cables and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because like this guy here, Even he has like bones coming out of his face.
Yeah, I see. At first, because it was all brown and it was kind of this elongated shaped head, it almost looked like some sort of looks like a Star Wars alien or something at first.
My goodness.
That kind of reminds me of whatever. Do you remember the old, like really bad Super Mario Bros. Movie?
Yes.
Kind of looks like Koopa from that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, what is that guy's name who played it? He was the reporter in Apocalypse Now. What is his name? I'm blanking on it, but he's the guy who played Koopa, King Koopa, I believe. And John Leguizamo.
Dennis Hopper. Oh God, Dennis Hopper. Yeah. That's right. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Dennis, bless his heart.
He's a very odd duck.
Not Dennis Hoffman. Sorry, Jeremy. Paul also confirmed that is the proper head. Mandragora says, on the Blood Bowl note, that definitely reminds me of when Mini Wargaming hosted Guild Ball. It was fun to see, but it wasn't popular enough to get a second run, and they had 8 or so different player teams.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know they did that.
That's interesting.
I'll have to go back and look and see what they did.
Yeah.
Like how they covered it.
Fall show. So yeah, I don't know what's been going on in the gaming world. I know you've been doing some commissions, Flo, but I don't know that there's been much else going on. We saw some movies recently, but we saw the new Beetlejuice.
What did you think of that?
It's fine.
I'm iffy on seeing it.
It's fine.
Checking back on my lists to see what I've actually watched because I can't remember. 2024 has been so underwhelming for movies that we have seen.
Although you did see Forbidden Planet finally.
I did. That was great. Okay, so I've been very much enjoying the classics. Forbidden Planet, Logan's Run was a weird and interesting one.
So we did see those.
I'm getting ready to go down a dystopian rabbit hole, which it's just a weird thing I seem to be attracted to. So I'm going to be watching the movies based on books that I've read, like 1984 and Fahrenheit 451. And I guess maybe Atlas Shrugged, but those were not very good movies.
Yeah, they were. They felt like made for TV kind of things. And they just kept, I guess the budget kept going down on each one or something.
Yeah, each movie got successively, more dramatically lower in budget and lower in production value.
Well, what was it? The first movie, the girl who played, what's her name? Dagny Taggart.
Yeah.
She's the girl who, after the first movie, she got picked up and ran off for Orange is the New Black, so they had to recast her.
Yeah, and it was just sort of like nah, it's fine. Don't notice the very obviously different actress. So, it is what it is. And yeah. But then you have something like Beetlejuice where they're bringing back all the same actors and they have a ton of budget and it just had nothing going for it other than aesthetic. Like they're
kind of missing all the heart of the original.
Yeah, it didn't seem... So the original seemed good-natured in a way, right? Like they're dead and there's weird stuff, but it felt good-natured. This one has that same sort of ick to it that
the dysfunctionality of the family with no counterbalancing.
Yeah.
Well-adjusted people.
Well, that's the thing is that it has the dysfunction without the heart. And it's something you've seen for the last 10 years now. When anyone in the Hollywood system does writing, where it's like, oh, Han Solo and Princess Leia, they're a divorced couple, and they didn't have, they never ended up together. And you're like, what? But the original movie said, and they're like, no, it all failed. And then you have like Jurassic Park, and you're like, oh, by the time you get to the end of Jurassic Park, like, what is it? Ellie and Alan Grant,
Mhm.
they're clearly together in the movie, but then by the end of it, you could see that he's warmed up to the idea of having kids, and they're gonna have this family. And then they're going, nope, nope, nope. The new ones are just they're terrible. Their lives went nowhere, nothing. Forget that, walk away. And it just seems you keep
Tragedy.
seeing like it's like every story has to go that way, and so it loses a lot of heart. And so Beetlejuice kind of seemed the same way in that respect. And you're supposed to kind of have an element that kind of brings it together. Like if you look at the original one, the two ghosts, you know, they were they'd been trying to have a kid, and they
Yeah.
were had been unsuccessful. But by the time you get to the end of the movie, like Winona Ryder kind of fills that role for them.
Mhm.
So even though they're dead and can never have a kid now, they kind of are helping raise this little girl that they really like. And you get to the end, even the last scene, well, it's not the last, like the second to last scene is, you know, her coming home, and they'd helped her get an A on her math test. And so they reward her by like letting her float and dance to, you know, I forgot the name of the song, but
Jump in the
you know,
line. Jump
yeah.
in the line.
And it's like, oh, it's just fun. Everyone's having fun. And that's what's playing on the radio in the waiting room whenever Beetlejuice gets his head shrunk and for the actual last scene. And you know what I mean? It's just, it has this like positive, upbeat sort of thing. And then you get into this one and you're like, what is happening? Everything is so weird.
Oh yeah.
And I did not, like, you and I went and saw it together. We were surprised when we saw at the end that, well, I just blanked on his name, the director, that
Tim Burton.
Tim Burton had actually directed it.
Yeah, it didn't feel like a Tim Burton movie at all.
Yeah. We saw his name. We're like, what? That was him?
Yeah, that was kind of odd.
So all of that style he brings to it kind of wasn't there either. It was, I don't know, it was weird. But it wasn't terrible. It wasn't awful. It wasn't off-putting.
There
it was
is
just,
one musical number that I would qualify as terrible. The end music. You go through the entire song, and I'm sure it's not more than 5 minutes, but it feels like a lot longer than 5 minutes of you sitting there waiting and hoping that the musical number ends, because it doesn't mean anything for the story.
I bet it's not longer than 3 minutes.
Oh, really?
But
God,
yeah.
it's so agonizing.
It
Just
felt
kept
so
crunching
long.
down in my seat more and more, like, oh God.
Put an end to it.
Oh. Paul.
I know it. I wonder if it felt similar to like watching the second Hocus Pocus. Like it just was no.
Oh yeah.
It was all the. They had a good time with it, like the actresses did, but like the story was terrible. It lost all of the meaning and all of the heart to it, and the songs were terrible. It was. Like you wanted to see them come back and like do something and have fun with it and enjoy it, and it was not enjoyable.
Mandragora says, I'm tempted to share 2 pictures under today's chat announcement on Facebook. First, a last pic of all my chaos nights together. Yes, please.
Hey, congrats.
Second, brushes for Floater review. I have a ton and fear none are right from minis. You should take a look. Feel free to share it. No one's gonna pick on you on Facebook, on my Facebook page anyway.
I mean, I might.
Tommy might. That's true. Paul says, has anyone watched the Terminator Zero series? The trailer looked awesome. I heard about it, but no, I have not looked into it. Mandragora, Terminator has a weird thing going on, Paul. It makes me feel like each time Judgment Day was pushed back, it changed the tech curve and made the inevitable Judgment Day worse and worse. Like, for real,
if that ended up being a story, that might be good.
I'm not sure what he's talking about, because there are only 2 Terminator movies, right?
Yep, only 2. That's right.
Like, I don't know. I'm not familiar with these multiple Judgment Days. I'm just aware of the one.
No, nothing happened. But I guess it's a series, and it's really hard. It's so much easier to go see a movie, even leaving the house, go to the theater, 2 hours, sometimes longer, but series asks for so much time and energy from you. Even, I guess you can binge watch it, but still you're sitting there for 6-8 hours. How long was the Fallout series? Like that was an all-nighter.
It was
We-
too long.
when we binge watched that, like, because we're sick. And that was even, I don't know. It's just.
Let me put it this way.
Hmm.
Miranda was sick and watching it, and even going to sleep and just waking up occasionally to watch it, it was still too long for her.
It was really easy to keep up with. It seems like they do not pack the stories. They do not pack episodes with much story. They give you like a little crumb of something and then sort of a bunch of annoying filler and delaying tactics or errands, like the running about advancing behavior. You see that so much. Yeah, Jeremy.
Well,
But,
it seems like they're taking notes from anime, right?
Oh God, yeah.
I have such strong opinions on Attack on Titan. Oh.
No, it's very similar, where it's like, so it just about all of the Netflix things that I've watched, they don't write TV. Like it really is a 3-hour movie stretched into what, like a 12 episode series with hour-long episodes. And so there's just so many scenes of, it's like, it could have been a shot, one shot showing you, oh, this character's over here.
Yeah.
Okay, they're doing this now. Got it. But because it's the TV series, now it's like a 3-minute scene where you go in and you see, oh, there's close-ups. Oh, what's going on in the scene? Oh, you see it's this character. You see them now behaving in this environment and doing this thing. And then you see, they're doing it, but then doing it 3 different times, so that really hammers in that that's what they're doing in this scene. And then you linger on the scene, and then they think about it, and then it holds on a shot, and then it moves out, and you're like, okay, so I just watched a 4-minute scene that could have been a 20-second shot. You know what I mean? And it just, that's the way Netflix writes everything, because they're trying to stretch it out. And it makes sense because, having serialized content is what keeps you coming back, right? It's kind of the approach of the subscriber method, right? Where it's not, and it affects the way video games are made now. Everybody wants the subscriber method. It affects, what was it? Was that, I'm trying to remember if D&D and if role-playing games were starting to try to get into subscriber models, for role-playing games, so that you could go online and access the rules there.
Oh,
and
yeah,
all that
D&D.
stuff.
Let's try to do that. That's right.
And it's like, it's everyone wants that subscriber model. But part of the problem is you have to keep either providing content people want to keep coming back for, or you have to keep withholding things behind a paywall. And so it's kind of a little bit of both.
Everybody wants the subscriber method except for the subscribers. Except for
Yeah,
consumers.
Subscribers are drowning in subscriptions, right?
Yeah, and so it's like, I understand as a company, it's great when you know that you have monthly income that keeps coming in, as opposed to, you think about the old days, right? Where you're like, oh, I have my N64 and I'm waiting for the news. What is it? Zelda Ocarina of Time to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And you pay, what did you pay for it?
$60 at the time.
You pay $60.
40 or 60, one of those.
You pay X amount of dollars for it, and you get this cartridge, and you're done.
You are. No DLC, no
Now,
BS.
there is the caveat of, yes, you could also make one more additional purchase of a Game Shark to modify the game, but that's it. You kind of have the game, and that's it. And as a game company, you're like, cool. Well, I hope people keep buying this game because we made it. It's done being made now. All right, all you designers, you're all fired. Get out of here.
That's sort of, well, yeah, and that sort of speaks to a bigger problem of we have such an embarrassment of entertainment at our fingertips now that it is way too expensive to produce for the competition that it has. So, frankly, yes, Cool Guys Nation, that's crazy. What? That seems bizarre. What do you pay for a 3-day subscription to
How does that work?
That's crazy.
Do you have to have had a 12-month subscription to even get into it or something? Like how does that work? That's so crazy.
Mandragora says, except Helldivers proved the single purchase game can work. I have no idea what went into it's a relatively small production though, isn't it? Oh,
Woohoo.
thank you, cool guys. Appreciate the super chat. But Helldivers, I think, was a relatively small one. Stardew Valley is a small one. You get Cinderella stories for sure.
There's a game you might have heard of called Dark Tide,
Dark Tide is quite good.
but
And
you bought it
there-
once.
Well, you can buy DLC, but it's not any pay to win type of thing, which people get very upset about. And understandably so. Like, pay to win is nonsense.
Yeah, but
Um,
being able to buy fun aesthetic things, I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Like, I think that that's totally fine that game companies can do that. I understand they would also like to. I understand the draw of not having a subscription model. So when they forego that and instead have aesthetic DLC to try to make a little bit of money over time, I support that completely.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure if some tabletop game companies could find a way to cause your miniature to like disintegrate after a certain number of years, they would happily use that material.
There's a time release acid like
Imagine
embedded in the plastic somehow.
open your
GW would
10 years
absolutely
later,
do it.
It's just a pile of sand. Like,
Well, okay. Well, we were talking about that last time. And actually a form of subscription model, I think, is rotating models out of the game.
yeah. Yeah.
Constantly requiring the purchase of new models every single increment of time, right? Over increments of time, constantly requiring you to get the new thing and, trash bin the old thing. That's it's not quite a subscription, but it kind of is, right? If you think of buying a new magazine every month as a
Mhm.
subscription, well, buying a new model every month or buying a new whatever.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about now, Aaron. You mentioned they have like a Patreon or something, right? That if you follow them, that's how you get your early access tickets. So in a way, it's a subscription model, but it's not necessary. Like, I think you can still go to the convention without having to be on a subscription plan, presumably.
Yeah. So Aaron gets it there, right? The planned obsolescence.
Yeah. Lacerator says, AKA Legends, exactly. Legends.
Oh, and one more. There you go, Flo.
Oh.
Huh? I missed as well. I hear you're going to be in town.
Yes, we'll all have to eat together. Mandragora,
Yeah,
big
That's
question.
the plan.
Big question. Was there a massive change between Space Marine 1 and 2? That 2 being live adds a lot to it. All I see is tech bulge that allows hundreds of Tyranids on screen at once. That does seem to pretty much be it. And I mean, the operations, I think, you've got people to play with, and the operations are going to be a fun, relevant thing to go and enjoy.
And to be fair, I mean, it does advance the story, and you are fighting a whole different enemy. Instead of orcs, now it's Tyranids. So, I mean, that's all brand new. I consider the narrative content to be new and worthwhile content.
Yeah. Mandragora adds, but here's the thing. War Machine did that with all the variety of units, with some becoming obsolete. 40K never did that technically, so almost all of the old units still work. They just look old. Well, they are doing that now. You cannot play Legends models in tournaments.
And they're not making rules for them.
And they're not making the models anymore, which is exactly what Privateer did. When they retired their models, they also put them into their unlimited series so that technically you can still play with them. And I think there has been enough fan support to kind of keep a lot of those old models in rotation. Probably the same with 40K. Like, I've got my Vulture gunship, which I'm pretty sure is going to Legends in the new year when my Codex comes out.
As soon as you get the canopy painted, that will be the
Yep.
literal the day
It'll be that
that's
day.
announced that it went into Legends.
But as long as it's not me from playing it, because I want to do a lot of casual games, and that's kind of the it's the funnest way to play 40K is in the casual games. Like, tournaments are fun in a very separate way. I very much have enjoyed my tournament experience because you really rifle through games, you sort of think about it a little bit different. But there's also a lot of fun to just chilling one afternoon and playing one long ass game of 40K with a friend of yours and ordering pizza or whatever and just enjoying yourself, which I think is how it was intended to be. Paul answers Mandragora's question also. The campaign of Space Marine 2 can be played fully offline. Only operations and PvP need a connection. Great game, though. I have not touched the PvP. I would get my butt kicked in that.
That is a good call. I'm glad they did do that.
Yeah.
Where you don't need to be online or anything to play the solo content.
Yeah.
There's a lot of games that do that now.
Well, yeah, I don't like where games constantly want you online all the time. It just seems like an excuse for spyware, frankly. But that's just me. Casual for the win. That's right, Brian. Let's elevate that comment. Oop.
Oh, we clicked on.
Not let me.
We're both trying to present it at the same time.
Fighting over the controls. But who wants to play?
I know that DJ is looking
Tournaments?
forward to when he gets his computer.
Yeah, any word on that yet?
I would have to ask him.
Okay.
Last time we heard, we knew it was delayed because they were overwhelmed with orders at the time. So,
Thomas, I'm a filthy casual through and through.
Filthy.
That's right. I am pro filthy casual. Heck yeah. I mean, it's a
getting
game.
down and dirty.
While I have a lot of feelings about how games should help you learn real life skills, I don't know that you always get your real life skills from a hardcore tournament. Jeremy, who wants to play in a dumb tournaments with full of tryhards and cheaters? Well, you meet a lot of nice people in tournaments. It depends on your meta. I have found my Albuquerque group to be reasonably well adjusted for Albuquerque. That's about as much as I'll say on that. But I very much enjoyed playing. Cool, guys. Or ditching your partner at Adepticon to take a picture. Wargamer girl. What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. World Eater looking great, Flo. This is Lacerator. Getting support in the chat there. We need to figure out a better camera setup for Flo, but we're kind of, been on a maiden voyage with this one.
Well, we were busy trying to figure out how to just get our cameras and everything set up. And so for the next live stream, we'll have to put a little more emphasis on getting Flo's set up. We're just trying to get this thing to work at all, making sure the maiden voyage of it was all right.
There's voice, there's picture. We'll take it.
Yeah.
The things are functioning. I think the camera setup works great. Not gonna lie, better than usual for detail. Yay! Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
it doesn't want to stay focused on it, but I think that's mostly because I have to move it around a lot to see what I'm doing.
That's fair. That is fair. Yeah, we'll get some cool stuff. Paul's liking the new setup as well. Yay! So yeah, we'll need to get some more Space Marine 2 games in. I like the idea of building up my Bulwark character, but
so part of the move toward this new setup is to start having more guests, and so we can have more, more people, more ideas, more thoughts on the show, more humans.
Yeah, I suppose with that in mind, if you guys have suggestions for people you would like to see on here, then that would be. You guys know me. We've been hanging out for years together. Definitely feel free to suggest it. Are those Cornate 8-bound, Flo?
Yes.
8-bound, the dangerous number 8.
However, for Mandragora, I feel like with all the online sculptors right now, I feel like buying 8-bound proxies are probably real easy to do out there. And probably some really cool and creative sculpts for them too.
Probably. I don't know. Hot take, but even if I were to play Chaos, it probably would. Well, would it be Khorne? Like, I kind of resonate to the whole anger thing, but their models always looked really homogenized to me. Like, it's just covered in gimbaling, covered in stuff,
covered in greeblies,
head to toe in greeblies, and it's all mouth and symbol and then angry face and some mutations. I don't know, and I say that as the chick wanting to play all the little toy soldiers, right? Just a man with hat, and then las gun. But I don't know, I just never got into Chaos. The Zinch models look interesting. they feel like they have a little bit more going on aesthetically.
Do you see the comment?
I'd love to see Dan again sometime. Oh, I know. Good. I can pressure him. I'll show him
Me
that
too.
comment and be like, the internet needs you. I don't care if you're on the top of a mountain in your stupid flip-flops in November. You need to get on the live stream with me and hang out.
And then
have
that
Naomi from Sword and Steel. Oh, I would totally do that. We should have a hangout. I'd love to hang out with Naomi for a bit.
which, by the way, War Budgies is absolutely invited to come hang out with us.
Already on our list.
Yeah.
for sure. War Budgie is wonderful. And he
Yeah.
has
I think he's normally not here on Wednesdays anymore because he's doing painting things with a group, a local game store on Wednesdays for the most part. So
Well, he
Okay.
should just stream from there. I mean,
Right?
Flo's painting on our stream. He can paint on our stream. I'm fine with that.
Did you ever have Mini Wargaming Jay? I really liked him back in the day. I hope he's still around. I don't know if he's still doing much Mini Wargaming stuff. Apparently,
He was cool.
Oh yeah, I like Jay. Jay was
He
good
He had a
people.
lot of good Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle knowledge that Miranda appreciated.
That's right. That's right. It was kind of crazy because I learned that if you are employed in Canada, because I think he was part of the banking industry, which we kind of had in common, but for him, his employer cared very much about what his online presence was and who knew him and the type of content he made. And so I think there was a lot of like pressure to kind of not be online from that. But I don't know where it ever went from there. It is a paint and chat after all. That is a good point. We should probably go back to that. Not as much as you think. Slanesh and Nurgle and even Zinch get more attention from the creatives. Yeah, of course Nurgle has kind of the best aesthetic. Like,
Yeah, I like Nurgle.
yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Patty is definitely invited to be on the show.
Cool.
Kind of help promote his games that he's working on
Yeah.
for sure.
Think of people to harass. We can get Dave on. We can have a push-up contest, in which I will lose. Like 10.
I'll win if you do squats.
Yeah.
I kept suggesting if we do the Blood Bowl thing, like I'm talking about,
Yeah.
it's like I wonder if we should do like a Kickstarter or something for it
Uh-huh.
to literally pay for Quirk to come down and be the other announcer.
Oh, Quirk.
Yeah.
'Cause-
I haven't heard from that guy in forever. He's engaged,
Yeah.
isn't he?
Yes. Yes, he is.
Because Quirk would make a really good Blood Bowl announcer, I think.
Yeah, I think he would. And who knows how much time he has these days. So we'll see. I think we're just about ready to wrap up here. But all in all, this was a fun, successful stream. Thank you to everybody who joined us tonight and checked out the new setup. I'll take all of your considerations for having guests because I do want to do that in the future. And yeah, any closing thoughts, Fluff?
Nope.
All right.
Not really.
She's,
Share your
She's
type.
showing off her little. I only see 3. I don't see 8. How are they
Yeah.
8 bound?
There are only 3 in the pack as far as I know, but I do
They are.
have.
There should be 8 of them,
I
and
do
they should
have-
be bound together.
Well,
In fact,
I've got
it should
9.
be one big base. It should just be like a big Titan-sized base, and there should be 8 of them, and they should all be chained together.
D-
That's the way 8 bound should be.
You're not
And now
wrong.
you have 9,
I did not
so
name
you're gonna
the
have to
boss.
vote one of the
Yeah.
guys off the island.
That's right. Too much.
Oh no, he's dead. Yeah, no.
All right. Well, feel free to keep
But yeah.
chatting in the chat. We are going to end on our outro still.
Were you able to upload the outro?
It's good. So
Oh, good.
we're going to be cutting to that now. And otherwise, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks, which will be October 2nd, which should hopefully come with some other cool announcements. So I'll be sharing that with you soon. Have a great week. Enjoy your hobbying and happy gaming.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye bye.
me. All right, guys, this is it. Copy that. No more sandwiches, Barry. What's wrong with this place? I'm in the west corridor. I'm right outside the generator room. I'm out of bullets. Oh, Barry. Success.